Hey, folks, thanks for joining us. We are going live and waiting for all the various connections to be made. We just hooked into and are streaming on our Chatham Journal uh, Facebook page. You also have a X channel is streaming as well. And then I've got one problem here. Let me click off and then click on to see if it's going to be connected. I think that is getting connected. So let me just make sure we're connected on YouTube, we're connected on Facebook, and we are connected on X. So we're fully connected. All right, folks. Hey, Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal with Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record, and it's our weekly Thursday noontime ChathamNC Sports Roundup. Before we get into the agenda, folks, thank you so much for watching. Last week we broke a record. We had over 3,000 views. So again, Asheebo's doing a great job giving you a roundup of what's going on here in the sports environment. We thank you for watching. Again, most of you do not watch us live at noontime on Thursdays. That's okay. But most of you by the weekend that's where the largest percentage of folks are watching us. I know some of you are on lunch break, some of you are in school, and some of you folks are doing stuff right now that you can't watch live, but that's okay. The other thing I want to let you know is that I am tracking or actually taking a look at our Facebook live stream. So if you want, you can give us a shout out. You can say hello, or if you agree or disagree about us with us, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right. Here's what we're going to talk about. Chatham, we're going to start off, of course, with Chatham High School football. Last week's games. We're going to talk about tomorrow's games. Of course, we're going to get into power rankings. I think there might have been a slight change from last week. We'll also talk about the fact that Asheebo and I spent last night at a girls' flag football games over at Eastern Alamance. Northwood, Jordan Matthews, and Seaforth all have girls' football teams, and they were all out there. We got going to volleyball, soccer. We mentioned flag football. I need to take that out of the agenda. And then today, the Chatham News and Record print newspaper comes out. You need to get yourself a copy. We're going to talk about Asheebo's stories. He's going to let you know what stories are in there, and then everybody's favorite, Asheebo's athlete of the week. So we're ready to go off of here. And Asheebo, let's talk. Let's go ahead and talk football. Let's talk about last week's games. Go for it.
Yes, we can start with the biggest game of the week last week. Seaforth hosting Northwood. Battle of the Borough, another edition of that. And Seaforth got the first win in the series. Tolbert Matthews, head coach at Seaforth, got his first win of his tenure as a coach of the Hawks. And Seaforth won that one 34-13. And for those who weren't there at that game, a lot of people from both sides of the community were in attendance. But it was a really interesting start. And Gene, you could chime in on this as well. But we had Roger Torres start the game with a 95-yard kick return, but it was a little bit of a delay after he crossed the goal line because we had a penalty. Refs took a minute to figure out what it was going to be, and they called it illegal substitution. I think Northwood had some players on the field while Roger was still running towards the goal line, getting ready for the extra point, and they got flagged for that. And from that point, it was a tight game in the first half. We saw both teams hit some early opportunities deep in each other's territory, penalties, some miscues, really halted their offenses early on. So we only had a 7-6 halftime score with Northwood leading. But Seaforth, they really opened it up in the second half. And I think what they saw a little bit working in the first half were those passes to Patrick Miller, Max Hinchman. They were really getting some big games in the pass game there. So they went to that more in the second half. Duncan Parker ended the game with 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing. He threw 2 to Max Hinchman, 1 to Patrick Miller, and 1 to Nick Gregory. And he also ran in a score himself. So, Seaforth really just hunkered down defensively as well. And what hurt Northwood, I think, in this game, Robert Tripp went down with an injury in the third quarter and didn't return. So they kind of limited their run game. We know that's the strength of Northwood's offense. And from there, Seaforth, like we said, just couldn't be stopped in the pass game. They got plenty of big gains there and scored in a hurry to take control of that game. So Yeah, it was a really good game. Unfortunately, and Gene, we talked about this as well. The refs were a little bit questionable on both sides in that game. So I know that was a big thing of the night with coaches working the refs and trying to get calls right. And we had a lot of delays with refs trying to figure out what calls were which. So we had a little bit of issues with that, and then that kind of did muddy up the game a little bit. But I think when you see what happened, in on the field with the boys, I think C4 put together a pretty good game plan here and got a good win. And yeah, it was a well deserved win for them. So yeah, that was the takeaways from that game.
All right, here's my opinion, and folks, anyone who wants to hate on me, send it to me. This is not Asheebo's opinion. In the 20 plus years I've shot high school football games, that was probably one of the worst officiated games I've seen. Now, Seaforth was going to win that game. Asheebo and I, regardless of the refing, Asheebo and I talked about this last Thursday. The first half, I told Asheebo several times, and I'm sure he got sick and tired of me saying this. I'm like, the first half turned out the way I thought it was going to have. And then the second half, as Asheebo mentioned, Robert Tripp got hurt, so he was off. And that's one of the things I had mentioned is the fact that although both teams have good players, uh, Seaforth just got more bodies, and Robert being out of the rotation, that second half hurt them. So congratulations to Seaforth. Asheebo did a interview with the players after the game, and they were all happy about the fact that they got the seniors their first win against Northwood. So the seniors at Seaforth will be able to graduate saying, "Hey, we beat Northwood at least one time." So it was a fun game to watch. A nice turnout on both sides. Student bodies were out there on both sides. And I do have a picture. I don't know if you ran in the paper of Coach Talbert getting the Gatorade shower or bath there towards the end. So congratulations to Coach Matthews on his first win against Northwood and his first win of this season. That's all I got to say. So let's get on to the next game.
Yeah. So next game, in our Chatham County slate last week, Jordan Matthews getting another win over Wheatmore. And we talked about this one last week too. We thought this was going to be another pretty good win for Jordan Matthews, and it was. So 42-6 in that one, another blowout win for the Jets. So 4-0 for the first time since 2010. Once again, just continuing to make history with this team. And in this one, senior running back Jakari Blue was the workhorse here. 112 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on 7 carries. And then also his buddy quarterback, Kamari Hadley, same thing. 98 yards on the ground, 2 scores on 6 carries. So they both got 16 yards per carry in this game, just dominating in the run game. They were up 26-0 by halftime and 42-0 midway through the third quarter. And also on the receiving end, we had Nola Mitchell grabbing 5 receptions for 60 yards in this game. So just totally dominant performance by Jordan Matthews. And we talked about, the coastal competition they played early on the season. It's not been the best, but I think we look at the history of Jordan Matthews football, just going back last year and then maybe 2 or 3 years prior, and even further before that. I mean, these are some teams, the types of teams Jordan Matthews would be in tight games with or lose to in the recent memory. And now this year, they're coming in. They're putting these games away early. They're, completing blowouts, got a couple of shutouts on the year. So they've been playing some really good football, considering the competition they're playing. And we'll talk more about their game Friday, tomorrow night, at home against Providence Grove. That's going to be a different type of test, I'm sure, for Jordan Matthews. But we'll talk more later about that. And then, Gene, did you have anything to say on Jordan Matthews?
Not much. I think we'll talk more about Jordan Matthews in tomorrow's game, because you and I talked about that briefly yesterday.
Yeah, and then going to Northmore, Chatham Central, our other game in the county as well. Thought Chatham Central will be able to make this game a lot closer than it turned out to be. It ended up being 48-14 loss for the Bears to Northmore. In this one, and I went back and watched the beginning of this game to see how it went down, because it was pretty much a blowout in the first quarter. And I think the issue for Central in this game was they just couldn't protect Brooks Albright. He was really flustered with the pressure Northmore was bringing on, and it wasn't that they were really blitzing. It was just great penetration by our defensive line, getting in the backfield, getting a couple sacks. They got a sack fumble early on in the game that led to a score. Um, and yeah, because they had a lot of good field position from back in Chatham Central up possession after possession, took a 28-0 lead pretty quickly in the first quarter and didn't look back from there. And so Albright, offensively, he finished the night with 13 completions, 13 for 28 on the night, 184 yards passing and 2 touchdowns that they got, sprinkled in through the game. So still some. And when I look at Central, I think if they can protect Brooks Albright and give him some time, I think that offense can really do some things what they showed in that game. But yeah, it's just have to do it consistently and do it early as well, and not to fall behind so much early in that game. And so yeah, that brings me to previewing tomorrow night's games. Gene, if you're ready for that.
Yep, we're definitely ready for that because with what happened this past week, a lot of interesting games going on tomorrow night. So go at it, Asheebo. And the other thing is, Asheebo's going to give his remarks or he's going to give predictions because folks are liking that. Also, want to thank the folks that are watching right now. We got about a dozen of you. We've got Lewis on there, Cassandra, Wes, Jennifer, Melody, Todd, Connie. Nadha, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but you folks are all thank you for watching us. And like I said, we appreciate the fact that we got 3,000 views last week. All right, let's get into tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, starting with Jordan Matthews and Providence Grove, Gene and I will both be out there to watch that game. Yeah, when I look at this game, Providence Grove 2-2 coming into this game. They're coming off of a 41-3 loss to Eastern Randolph, which is also in Jordan Matthews and Northwood's conference. So we'll see them play Eastern Randolph later this season. But Providence Grove, like I said, should be a step up in competition that Jordan Matthews hasn't yet seen this season. They have 2 wins over Moorhead, which was 0-4 as well, and Southwestern Randolph also in the same conference as Jordan Matthews and Northwood. And in those. And so far in these games early in the season, Providence Grove has rushed for over or near 200 yards from multiple rushers that they go to in those games. So we have, looking at Providence Grove, I'm looking at their seniors, Andrew Thomas, Jackson Lawver, running the ball for them. I think with Jordan Matthews, their strength offensively is running the ball as well. And so I'm looking at both teams. I'm thinking this game is going to be one in the trenches. Who's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage? Who's going to be able to get gain, rushing yards in this game, control the run game, and as well also defend the run game the best. And I think, like we said, it'll be interesting to see how Jordan Matthews deals with a test like this, a team that they probably like a level of team they haven't really seen yet this year. But I talked with Gene about it, and they kind of had that confidence or been growing that confidence since the Carborough game, and that one was a tighter game, and then they kind of started pouring it on towards the end there when they came back and won that one. And so they come into this game with the confidence, like, hey, we can come in where they're going to be at home in front of a big crowd for a military appreciation night. I think when Jordan Matthews comes in with confidence, and the same physicality and aggression they've shown in the past 4 weeks, I think they can win this one. I think it's going to be a close game. My prediction for this game, score prediction, and I'll do the score predictions game by game. I have the Jets winning this one 22-20. Like I said, I think it's going to be low scoring, lots of running the ball, so it might be even quicker game time-wise, but it's going to be a physical, grind-out type of night for both teams, and I think Jordan Matthews edges this one out.
I am going. Hold on here for a second. Yeah, there we go. Those are the games. Again, Asheebo's going to go through each one of those and give you his prediction. I think I'm going to agree with you on this one. The nice thing also, folks, about Asheebo is when he's out covering the games, he's out on the sidelines on the field. And yesterday we ran into the athletic director of JM, and he's really excited about it. They're expecting a big crowd out there. I know we mentioned this last week. They have not had such a good starting record. And Asheebo, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and since 2010. So that's 15 years ago. Folks are excited about this. Asheebo and I will be there. And again, Asheebo will not be up in the press box. He'll be walking the sidelines on this game. So that's his prediction, 22-20 over Providence Grove. I feel comfortable with that as well. Which one do you want to talk about next? Which game?
Yeah. Next on the list, man, North Stokes is coming to Chatham Central tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Chatham Central 1-3 on the year. North Stokes 0-4. We saw North Stokes against Jordan Matthews, and in that one, like we said, Jordan Matthews dominated in that game, especially on the defensive end. And watching North Stokes, we know they're going to try to pass the ball more than run. I think they like to switch it up some, but they have 2 targets, and Aiden Bennett and Jackson Bodenhamer that have been focal points in their offense, from what we've seen of what we saw in the stats in other games. And so I think they'll look to try to continue to dump those small to medium gains in the passing game there, try to get some things working there. So I think those are the keys for Chatham Central's defense, stopping those 2 guys, and making the quarterback make some tough throws here. Offensively, like we said earlier, I think Chatham Central just has to really really focus in on the offensive line, give Brooks Albright some time, and then also too, improved offensive line play will also help the run game as well for Chatham Central, which they haven't been able to get going in the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think they get in there. Like we said, make some time for Brooks, create some running lanes. Offensively, I think they'll be okay in this game. I actually do think they will come out of this game victorious, back at home, looking to bounce back from back-to-back losses. So my score prediction for this game is Chatham Central 32, North Stokes 20. Like I said, I think Chatham Central and Coach Darren Little will have a good game plan. They know what to look for in this game, and ways to improve on last week. And you learn a lot from playing, I think, teams like Northmore that are, of course, higher classification, a team that's been pretty good in their conference and who they played against in the past couple of years. So I think Chatham Central learns a lot from last week's game, and they get a win here tomorrow night.
I think I like your prediction. I don't know if it's going to be a 12-point difference, but I'm hoping Chatham Central, playing at home and, as you said, playing against stronger non-conference teams, will set them up for a pathway to success this Friday night. All right, which one do you want to tackle next?
Okay, next down the list, we got Seaforth going to Northmore tomorrow night, 7 p.m. This is another one, another former Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A foe for Seaforth that's no longer in the conference, but a familiar opponent. So Northmore is 3-0 all-time over the Hawks in the series. I do think that comes to an end tomorrow night. Just given the improvement Seaforth has seen offensively really has been impressive. I think they found something that works consistently in the past game. Those medium to long gains to guys like Patrick Miller, finding space in zones. And Duncan Parker has been really doing a good job of finding those open targets, and the receivers have been doing good as well, getting open for him, finding soft spots and defenses. And then, of course, I think their receivers are really good at yards after catch, as we've seen this year. So I think Seaforth, gets a big night offensively in this game. Defensively, it is going to be a task always playing against Northmore, a team that's run heavy, but also does very well with its misdirection and lead blocking as well. They run a lot of heavy moving parts and in their offense with I think 3 backs in the backfield. So it's going to be a lot of eye candy, a lot of eye discipline that they're going to have to focus in on this week against Northmore. But I think Seaforth comes out on top in this one. Score prediction 36-24.
All right, I got a question. 36-24. I think that might be a little bit large lead, but that's fine. Having followed the teams here in Chatham County the last 3 years, what's your feel as to how the win against Northwood is going to affect how they're playing this coming Friday?
How Seaforth's playing?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big confidence boost, and I think what we see from Seaforth is a little bit of what we saw maybe last year, where you're 1 or 2 plays away from different outcomes in those earlier games, especially the Chapel Hill game, where they lost by 1 score. A couple plays that could have went differently there, could have led to a win. Maybe not Southeast Alamance game. Southeast Alamance is just a really good team. But even last week against Princeton, you're down 1 at halftime, 14-13. And then Princeton comes out in the third quarter. They scored 28 points. And, I mean, offensively, I think in that Princeton game, they didn't play bad. They had a lot of great things happen offensively, just still some miscues that led to Princeton getting some opportunities. And, of course, they have a really good running game and Princeton with T.O. McFadder. But I think with the win over Northwood, I mean, to win that game with the way that the first half went, and we know this team is pretty player led as well, because even Tolbert was saying at halftime, he didn't say much to the guys. The guys pretty much knew what they had to do, and they talked amongst themselves. So I think with the senior leadership they have, and then the confidence they've built game after game, now after getting the win, I do think we'll start seeing a lot more wins from Seaforth, or at least much better play from the Hawks as they try to get back to 500 and make some noise as they get into conference play later on in the season.
Yeah, I also wanted just to remind folks that you can watch Asheebo Rojas on X, Asheebo R38 on X. He's definitely worth following, because he does post-game interviews with coaches, and usually picks a few select players, and he bases that on how they've performed during that game to get that feedback. So that leads to our last game that we've got tomorrow night, Chatham County. It's Northwood at North Surrey. What's your overview, and what's your predicted score on that one, Asheebo?
Yeah, so another pretty good opponent that Northwood's going to take on in North Surrey. North Surrey is 3-1 on the year, and another run-heavy team that they're going to see here, led by senior running back Zamari Sweatman. And over the season, last week for North Surrey, they had a 37-14 win over North Wilkes, and that one 224 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Sweatman, their lead back there, he's rushed for over 400 yards, 5 scores this season, and defensively they've been pretty good, with allowing only 15.5 points per game. So with Northwood here, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for them going on the road in this game. They're going to be without Robert Tripp, who's not just a big piece of the offense, but he's also been a big piece of the defense. And we saw that Friday night. He was coming in, making some big tackles at the line of scrimmage, or behind the line of scrimmage, from that linebacker position. And so they're going to have to find a way to kind of replace his impact on both sides of the ball. Now, Leo Mortimer has been a really good piece for them at running back and linebacker, but specifically at running back, giving them another option for somebody who can gain some big chunks of yards, which he did against Seaforth as well. And so, but just like we said, the impact that they're going to lose with the Trip, and also too, I mean, we just seen them kind of struggle to stop run heavy teams this year. I don't know if they're going to pull this one out on the road. My score prediction for this one is North Surrey 35, Northwood 21.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Also, I was looking at the comments on our Facebook page. Barbara wanted to know, why don't you come out to Chatham Central or interview our school folks? The world of newspapers is different these days, and we try to cover what we can when we can. So one of the things is, by watching our roundup here on Thursdays, we try to give you a roundup of all the schools in the county. So please continue to watch us on Thursday. We appreciate the support, and we try to be able, given the resources we have, we try to cover what we can in the county. All right. Power rankings. Are we ready for that?
Yep. So just a reminder from last week, power rankings were Seaforth at 4, Chatham Central at 3, Northwood at 2, and Jordan Matthews at 1. Of course, this week we had Seaforth and Northwood, so that shook some things up. Jordan Matthews keeps winning. Chatham Central also lost again this week. So with the power rankings after week 4, going into tomorrow night's games, I have at 4, Chatham Central, at 3, Northwood, at number 2, Seaforth, and at 1, Jordan Matthews.
All right. Jordan Matthews 1, C4 2, Northwood 3, and Chatham Central 4. One of
Yeah.
the things that Asheebo and I talked about yesterday during that Wednesday night football games, and that's coming up next, is with the way things are going, is going to be one of the other intra county games we're going to be looking forward to is when Jordan Matthews meets up against Northwood. That should be a very, very interesting game because folks that have been in this county long enough and back in 2010, and I've talked with Dalton Brown and Asheebo, and I have talked with Jared, who's the athletic director at C4. They remember when JM was a powerhouse when it came to football. So maybe that's going to make for a very interesting game this season. All right, so we got the power rankings. Are you ready to talk about what were we doing yesterday evening with at some flag football games? Why don't you give folks a rundown of where we were, what was going on, and I thought it was really interesting. So go ahead, Ashiba.
Yeah. So
Hold
the
hold
first,
on, hold on, hold on. I pressed the wrong button. There we go. People don't want to see me. There you go.
yeah, so we had the first ever official flag football games for the girls flag football games for some of our county teams that are playing in the league this fall, and it's still a club sport. It's not sanctioned yet, but they're in the league with Seaforth, Jordan Matthews, Northwood, Eastern Alamance, and Southeast Alamance, organized by Eastern Alamance's athletic director. And so Eastern Alamance hosted the first games last night. First game, we had Jordan Matthews playing Seaforth, and we had Northwood playing Southeast Alamance at the same time. So me and Gene were going back and forth, looking at both games, trying to keep up with what was going on. And starting with Jordan Matthews and Seaforth, man, that was a really good game. 8-8 at halftime. We had early interception there from Jordan Matthews, and yeah, in that second half, uh, Jordan Matthews they got another score, took the lead 14-8, and then with 10 seconds left at the end of the game, C4 still trying to get a last second score in. They had they were about in midfield, like I said, with 10 seconds, and Emma Grace Hill, she finds Annika Johansson, just threw up a pair, and Johansson was caught it, took it to the end zone, and they tied the game up. So they went into overtime. First game, they go into overtime, and then overtime rules. They have to take turns taking 2-point conversion tries from the 10-yard line. And yeah, I think C4 got their first one to go. And then Jordan Matthews on their try, C4 got a deflection and won that game 15-14 at the end. So great first game for Jordan Matthews and C4 there. Then Northwood and Southeast Alamance. Southeast Alamance jumped on them pretty early. First play, they had a long run to the outside for a touchdown. And then Northwood responded after going down 12-0 with a long run of their own. But they just couldn't get over, Southeast Alamance scored again with a pick six early in that second half. And so they ended up losing that one 18-12. Our second set of games last night, Jordan Matthews went up against Eastern Alamance. They got bounced back pretty well in this one. They took a 20-0 lead with a long run from Genesis. They also had Lizzie Austin. She made some big catches. And a big play, I was talking to the girls, a play that really worked for them was like a flea flicker where they would hand it off, do two handoffs, and throw it down the field. And opposing teams really had a hard time stopping that play. So they found something that worked. And like we said, won that game 20-8. And then Northwood, they bounced back with a win over Seaforth. Noah Whitaker scored on a long run to give Northwood an 8-0 lead. Khalees Watson also had another interception. I think she had two on the night, one in each game. And so they were up 8-0 at halftime. And then, yeah, they scored again. Northwood scored again, made it 14-0 early in that second half. And Seaforth in this one, they didn't score, so Northwood won this one 14-0. But that one, they just struggled to make some connections in the pass game. Northwood, they're really good with pass defense. They got some tall girls, some athletic girls as well. So they knocked down a lot of passes, got some interceptions. So it was a pretty good showing for all the teams, really. I mean, to have, I think, really 1 or 2 weeks to prepare for those games. They have some plays lined up. Some teams I think Jordan Matthews used wristbands to call plays. C4, they like to huddle, see the play, and then they went out and ran it. So it's interesting to see how different teams approach the game as well. And it was a fun time. All the girls had fun. They were really competitive as well. We had some physicality, some girls getting trucked, trying to take some flags. We had some spin moves going on. So yeah, it was really cool to see. And they're going to keep playing just about every Wednesday. I think next week they are going to play. I think the exception is an October 1st game. But we have a story out in this week that breaks down the schedule as well for that league, because it'll be something to watch to see how the girls do in their first season before, maybe it'll get sanctioned sometime soon, and we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, Gene, if you want to chime in, I think it was a pretty good time last night.
Look, I saw a lot of smiles on the girls' face, and as you said, there were some athletic moves on the girls' side. Now, while you were interviewing the Jordan Matthews girls, I was actually North Carolina High School Athletic Association had an official out there, and they had a head football coach, and he talked to the coaches about things that they're going to be watching for. One of the things they're going to be watching for is it's flag football. So the girls are not allowed to tackle, and that is one of the things the official reminded the coaches is that they will be watching that. They're not allowed to do what they call flag guarding. So you can't have your hands down by the flag level so someone can't get to the flag. They may want to carry the ball more uptight. You mentioned the twirl plays. That's fine. They can move around in the hips, but they're not allowed to guard the flag. So that was really interesting to watch. And yeah, all the teams seemed to have a good time. They were athletic, a lot of smiles. Luckily, there were no injuries. Oh, tell people about exactly. They had two games going on at one time, but it wasn't like at the Jack Shamer Jamboree where they're going goalpost to goalpost. They were playing side, and the rules were a little bit different, including how long the halves were, and there was a running clock. So why don't you let folks know what the general rules were yesterday?
Yeah, so I think the fields, I think it's 30 yards between the end zone, but in 5 yards before each end zone, there's a no run zone, so they cannot run the ball once they get 5 yards within the goal line. But yeah, 15. It was 15-minute halves running clock, so the clock only stops with a timeout. So that was something the coaches had to kind of work with as well, and 5-minute half times. So I think, and I was talking to the Northwood coaches about this, because there were still some things the refs even have to learn too. I think with interceptions, that was the thing where you can take interceptions all the way back for touchdowns, and wherever, of course, the person that gets the interception is downed, that's where the possession starts. I think it's 30-second play clocks as well. So the game goes by pretty fast, and yeah, I mean it's still a lot of the basic football rules, right? They call false starts. Can't false start. You also can't throw the ball like backwards. So if you have a player that gets the ball and goes beyond the line of scrimmage, they have to carry the ball. They're the last person to touch the ball. They can't lateral it. They can't throw it to anyone else. You can only do that behind the line of scrimmage for that purposes, and that's what Jordan Matthews did a lot on their plays as well, with the misdirection and giving it to different players to throw downfield. But yeah, those pretty much the rules. It's just basically the same rules as regular football, just a little bit of different things with the 7-on-7 game, and yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. They had a nice crowd out there, and folks here in the county will get an opportunity to see some of those games here in the county. I was joking about this with Asheebo yesterday, but yeah, why don't we do it? Girls flag football power rankings in Chatham County. I think we briefly touched on this yesterday. What do you see as the unofficially unofficial power rankings for girls flag football?
So from what I saw last night, I think I would still put Jordan Matthews at 1, even though they did lose that game at the end of C4. But Jordan Matthews, like I said, they really impressed me with the play creativity. The girls they have plenty of girls with speed that can run around and that can get downfield and catch some passes. I mean, they did pretty well with executing plays. We didn't see a lot of drops from Jordan Matthews or incompletions on their end. I think Northwood is the next team I'll put there. Like I said, another very athletic team with some speed. And Aaliyah Roberts, she's learned the quarterback position pretty well. So they had some good moments. And then Seaforth also has some good moments. I really like Emma Gracie at quarterback. She gets the ball down the field pretty good. It's just with them, I think they're still trying to learn the plays because they're going in huddles. They got to look at the plays and then go back out. So I think that did affect kind of their abilities to connect on a lot of their passes. They had a lot more incompletions, I think, on their end. But yeah, I mean that's just an unofficial. I guess
it is way unofficial, and hey, don't anyone take offense. It's not like here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. It's like here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. It's that close.
Yeah, everybody's close.
It could change every week, but you know what? There were a whole bunch of smiles out there, and they seem to have fun. And as Asheebo said, there's a lot of athletic girls out there playing. It's just they need to get a handle on how to run the plays, and it's only I think was it Northwood had a jamboree the night before, but everyone else, I think it was pretty much their first game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Northwood they did. Yeah, everyone had their first game last night, and then Northwood played against Athens Drive, I think, the night before, just to get their feet wet. And that one, they were telling us that team has been playing for about 3 years, so you got a lot of experience there.
Yeah, and I think you'll see the gameplay improve game after game. All right, we need to get into the paper. Comes out. The Chatham News and Record comes out today. You can either subscribe to it or pick one up. And Asheebo, why don't you give us a rundown? Oh shoot, you know what? We forgot. Let's go. Let's talk about soccer and volleyball, and then we'll talk about what's in the paper. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun here.
Yeah, just really quick because I know we're running out of time here. Volleyball this week. Starting with C4, they split the week so far with a 3-2 win over Orange a couple days ago, and then last night they lost to a really good green level team in straight sets 3-0. And then Northwood conference game against Northmore lost that one 3-1. Jordan Matthews went out of conference, played Southern Lee, and lost in straight sets 3-0. But Chatham Central doing pretty good in their conference play right now. They got picked up 2 wins, 1 in the conference, 1 out of conference this week. So 3-0 over Winston-Salem Prep. And then that one, City Sellers led the way with 8 kills. And then they had a 3-1 win over Western Harnett this week as well. Addison Golston went off for 20 kills in that one. And now the Bears have won 3 in a row. Chatham Charter, 2 games this week. They had a 3-1 win over Phoenix Academy earlier. And then last night, 3-0 win over Eastern Randolph. And then Woods Charter continuing to dominate their schedule. 8 wins in a row for them. 3-1 win over Burlington Christian Academy. And then boys soccer, just a quick rundown. Jordan Matthews, like we said, another one of those midseason runs that they're going on. So 9-0 win over Phoenix Academy. Another shutout for the Jets there. Northwood played East Chapel Hill and fell 4-0 this week. And C4, they played 2 games, split them. They lost to Carborough 2-0, and then they beat Cedar Ridge in the conference 3-1. And that one, that's their first win since August 27th. They had a 3-game losing streak before that win over Cedar Ridge, and that's finally snapped. We had Woods Charter tying with Northern Durham 1-1, and then Chatham Charter, they split the week with a 3-2 win over Central Carolina Academy, and that one Colton Pena had 2 goals, and they lost to Clever Garden in their next game 4-2. And so that's boys soccer. And Gene, did you want to go into any other?
Yeah, you want to go into what's in the paper. Before we do that, I just want to say, hey, PJ. PJ is the other photographer that shoots for the Chatham News and Record. He's online watching us, watching Asheebo and I, and he's like giving us the score for Chatham Charter School. 3-0 with their new coach. So, hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, you can see the comments there as well. All right. Are we ready to go into what you got coming out in the paper today?
Yeah. So in the paper this week, we have, of course, our story from Seaforth and Northwood football. We have the before story before the first games with girls flag football. Just a story about it's about how it's happening, what's going on, what teams are playing, and what's it been like, kind of getting the teams together before the season starts. Of course, we have our football recap from week 4 and the preview of week 5 that we talked about today. We have our fall sports roundup, and then we have a story on Woods Charter beating Covent Garden last week, the game that me and Gina went to, and we talked about last Thursday as well. So we have more from that game. And yeah, of course, our athlete of the week. And Gina, if you're ready, we can go into that as well.
Definitely ready for everyone's favorite of each Thursday sports roundup. Who is this week's athlete of the week?
Yeah, athlete of the week this week is Daisy Collins from Woods Charter. We talked a little bit about her big accomplishment last week, but if you guys don't know, she's was just recently named to the USA Swimming National Team roster, released last week on September 8th. And so she's on the national team with some of the best swimmers in the nation, like Katie Ledecky, the 9-time Olympic gold medalist. She's one of 6 female open water athletes on the roster, one of 5 North Carolinians. Both men and women to make the team, and just some of her career highlights that they have on her profile now on the USA National Swim Team website. She's a World Junior Championship individual finalist, 2-time U.S. Junior Open Water National Champion, and the U.S. National Championships qualifier. And coming soon, we're hoping to have more about this accomplishment on Daisy, and just what this means for her going forward in her swimming career, because she's off to just a great start to her career, even though she's been in it for so many years already. Like we said, she's only a junior in high school and already getting to swim with some of the best in the world to do it. So congratulations to Daisy. And we're looking forward to continuing to follow your swim career.
Yep, congratulations to Daisy. Always nice to see folks performing well. And as Asheebo said, he's going to have a bigger story coming out and later on in the print paper. So look, it's worth picking up the print paper. If you don't subscribe, just go and pick one up at the store and make it easy. Just subscribe. All right, where are you going to be over the next few days?
Right now, I only know that I'll be at Jordan Matthews tomorrow night for football. Also, too, athletic director Barry West at Jordan Matthews, he has a big night planned before the game. So yeah, he's going to show. Well, I'm sure a lot of people in the Jordan Matthews community knows, but he's going to show us the new court that they just installed in the basketball arena. So they have a new big logo there, of course, new colors on the court as well. And they're going to have some of the old coaches from Jordan Matthews over the years come by and visit, check out the new facility. And it's going to be a big night. Like we said, military appreciation night as well. So I'm sure they'll have some festivities planned for that as well.
Yeah, and I'll be there too. And folks, if you want to see the new floor, just remember, we were told this yesterday, you cannot walk on that new floor. It still has to finish curing or whatever the proper term is. So, but that's neat. We'll see if JM can pick up another win, and we'll see where we are next week. But for tomorrow night, Asheebo and I will be at the JM game. I'm only going to be there for the first half because I've actually got to run over to Silk Hope to get some pictures at the rodeo there. If you hadn't been at the rodeo, I did it 2 years ago. Great little event. Stay at the game, but they also have the rodeo 7:30 on Saturday. $20 to get in, and if you're a kid under 6, you get in to go for free. So, I don't know if that recreational sports. Hey, it's still a sport. If you're a city slicker like me and haven't had a chance to see a rodeo, it's definitely worth going out and seeing. All right, we'll be back next Thursday. We'll have a whole bunch more news. Thank you so much for watching. And yes, I see your comments on Facebook. Some of them I will respond to by email or by text once we get off. All right, Asheebo, anything else to wrap up before we say bye?
No, I think we got it all good. I see my mom is one of the comments. Hey, Mom. Good to see you are watching. And yeah, that's all we got. And PJ, we'll talk later. I have to ask PJ something, but I think we got it all covered.
Your mom's got her eyes on you. She wants to know if you're going to win another award this year, because that was a great picture of you and her last year when you won that North Carolina North Carolina Press Association award. So that's good. And yes, Asheebo's in the running for that. We don't know any information yet, but we'll find out. We will let you know, because he's doing a fantastic job here in Chatham County. And Mom, you should be proud of your son. So he's doing a fantastic job here in Chatham County. Athletes and coaches appreciate it, and the community appreciate what he's doing. All right, I'll quit telling you everybody how great a guy Asheebo is, and we got to say bye.
All right, thank you all for watching.